Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the workout series, and today we're in the garage gym. So as you see, I'm starting off with some split jerks, and the reason behind doing this, as I'm warming up by the way, the reason behind doing this, especially before my chest day, is because I've been predominantly focusing on power for my bench press, for my inclines, whatever the case may be. I'm just trying to get a stronger press in general, especially with an overhead as well. So my thought is that, especially since I do gravitate in like more athletic movements, I need to utilize those to my better advantage in order to get my actual movements for like a powerlifting kind of mentality up. So my idea with this is to get rapid acceleration and rapid elbow extension. So as I'm doing these split jerks, I'm really focusing on obviously thrusting through with the lower half, but really getting a solid throw up and extension when I'm pressing this weight over my head. So what I'm thinking is going to happen, and this is kind of my theory going into all of this, is that I'm going to end up getting a more explosive response on my bench press, which actually worked this time around. So I got a higher weight than I normally would have with the pause at the end. So I'm really happy with the results that I got from today's workout, which is really a couple of days ago's workout. But essentially, I was working on power to neurologically stim my body and try to get it to work at a pretty maximal effort capacity. Oh yeah, and right here, as you see, what I'm doing is a couple of scapular retraction exercises. So I'm just trying to make sure that when I lock out at the top, that I really have a nice pinch at the top end of the shoulder blades, just so you secure the shoulders, because you don't want to injure them when you're doing any of these movements. So here I am again with the split jerk, and I'm just going for triples, right? I'm getting a little bit more warm. This is still considered a warm-up, even though it is in the working set class. I do end up going up to 135 pounds for the split jerk for triples, but I will admit, I was grinding out a lot. Like this is pretty near to flawless. I have a couple of sets, or not sets, but reps, where I do end up falling forward a bit, so I wasn't too happy with that. However, considering the fact that I haven't been able to do these too much until recently when I just got these plates, I'm pretty satisfied with how everything's going. I'm going to obviously work on perfecting this and just making sure that all of my movements are always perfect and on point. However, I used to do a hell of a lot more back when I used to be at a gym that actually supported Olympic style lifting. So this is just split jerks, obviously. You can really do them anywhere, but once I left the gym that didn't support that format of lifting, it was kind of hard to stay on that track. So I'm really happy to be back at that again. I got the bumpers. I do have a couple of mats. However, I am working on creating a platform just so I can get these movements down pat, because I really know down to the science behind these movements how much of a benefit they will provide, especially in my strength and conditioning that I'm going through with the bench, the deadlift, and the squat. All right. So as you see, guys, like I said, I'm grinding the hell out with these ones. I'm doing 3 sets of triples, and we'll just watch this one real quick. I'll just kind of. All right. So that was pretty good, actually. I'll be completely fair and honest with you. That was one of my better ones. This next upcoming one, if I do remember correctly, is a grinder. Yep, there we go. I'm just kind of getting right through it, right? But these are the moments where, as long as I'm keeping that brace in my stomach, I'm dropping down well enough, and I'm getting that lockout at the top. These are the things that are going to neurologically stimulate my body to want to receptively hold that weight with an explosive movement at the top. Although it's not too much weight, I've got long arms, and I'm only 162 pounds on average. So this is pretty good for me. I mean, I'm going to work back up. I used to do just about 175 or 185 for triples, and I really would like to get back to that. So that's why we're working at this so hard. But here we are, just finishing those last couple reps in the set. And what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the bench press next. And what we're going to be doing with the bench press is we're implementing a pause at the bottom. I'm trying to work on being graceful with this one, though, because I just went from such an explosive and violent, but yet controlled, if that makes any sense, movement, to a real nice deep pull and explosive explosion. So I kind of threw myself off a bit. I did have good control for the most part. However, some of these reps, I will admit, got a little sloppier than I had intended them to be, but towards the end, I managed it out, and like always, I'm grinding out. So here I am, 145 pause reps. I'm really just working on getting depth, pinching the blades, pulling through the lats, and then explosively driving up just to come right back down. So I'm just working on really getting control of the bar all the way to depth, because before I started doing this powerlifting kind of style of lifting, I never once actually pulled the bar down to full depth, because I never used to have good thoracic extension, as you see here, and I never used to have as great of mobility in my shoulders as I do now. So given the fact that my body mechanics are a lot better than they always used to be, I'm doing a lot better just in the standing of bench pressing, overhead pressing, all the athletic movements, and so on and so forth. So as you see in an upcoming deadlift video, it'll also resemble the difference I've made with my mobility and my structure, because especially since I've been committed to just Ascension all day. Oh, there I'm screaming to pump myself up, but essentially since I've been dedicated to Ascension all day, I've got a lot more time to focus on my lifting. And that's a blessing, because my lifting is important, especially when I want to promote to people what I do and why they should do it as well. So I'm happy with this. As you see, I do grind out, especially the one that was in the intro actually is coming up. It's not on this set, it is on the last set. But like I said, guys, these last few reps, oh no, that was it right there. So these last few reps, I'm really grinding out, because I'm really trying to put my body to a maximal effort. I'm just taxing it out, especially since I'm going on a trip. I want to make sure that I get all my maximal efforts done before I can't do it for a week. So that's really what I've been focusing on, getting that power back, especially after you saw the video. If you haven't, you might have seen the video, I Feel Like Quitting, where I had an awful day deadlifting. It was just weak. So my strength has been shooting back up, stress levels have been going back down, and overall progress, right there's that grinder. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, but I still kept composure, because you don't ever want to twist the trunk as you're doing that. So I finished out here, and we're sticking true to that grind out method. I'm just doing time under tension here. I dropped the load down to 145 after having a slight increase before. And nope, this isn't 145. I'm sorry about that, guys. This is actually 115. So I'm just grinding out for 12 reps, time under tension, no breaks, no touching, nothing. I do minor touches maybe, but I try to minimize that as much as possible by keeping tension on the chest and the blades, and just constantly contracting, retracting, contracting, retracting. So that's the workout, guys. I got 2 more sets of this. This set was a little bit less graceful than the last one, although I did keep my composure pretty well. I got through all 12 on this one, so I was really happy with that. The next one is really where I struggle, though. That's what I'm gonna say right now. I'm just, like I said, I'm going until I really can't this time. I don't advise always going till failure, but there are certain points in your lifting career where you're gonna just have to go to failure to break some barriers and get through some shit. So this is the grinder, guys. I maybe got 8 reps deep, and you're gonna see. I started real struggling, and it just didn't get pretty from there. So you can watch the rest, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed my commentary, and you got a little bit of insight on what maybe you could do for your chest day, your shoulder day, whatever the case may be for your pressing. And as always, take it easy.